So here we have Levi, and we are just at Lowe's. For this week's update, we are going to show you his place command as well as his sit stay. So I apologize, this woman didn't know I was recording, so she kind of got in the view. But as you saw, all I did was point to the cart and tell Levi to place. These carts do wobble, so this is kind of more of a higher distraction. Some dogs get a little unweary of it bouncing up and down. So I pointed to the object and I told him to place. So place is a little bit less structured than stay. So he can sit, stand, or lay down on this object as long as all 4 feet remain on it. If he were to go and try to get up and he looked like he was going to go off, I'm going to give him a verbal warning of And if he fully got off, I would simply pick him up, put him back on, and restart. So the goal to this is eventually he can hold a place for up to 20 to 30 minutes without being corrected. Here I'm just moving the camera so you have a better angle, because I am going to go out of view and I'm going to walk a distance away from him. There are a lot of people walking by in this aisle. There's going to be a lot of noises of things like forklifts. So lots of good distractions for him. So as you saw, I went up to him, I touched him, gave him his release word of okay. And now we're going to do it again. Get him back up there. Reward as soon as he's up there and he's paying attention to me. So I like to wait for these dogs to sit without telling them to sit. It's kind of a learned motion without having to say anything. And I periodically come back and reward him while he's doing the actual place action. So the key for doing that is that you're rewarding for the action so he understands what he's supposed to be doing. And then of course we reward when we release him. So I know this video is going to be long. There's going to be some breaks where it's just the video audio and I'm not talking. So we're just going to walk away from him. You'll see that I'll start to move the cart actually. I'll bounce it up and down a little bit. Yeah. So right here you'll see that Levi isn't going right up onto it, so I don't want to pull him up onto it. I don't want this to be a forced action. I want him to willingly go up there and reward when he does, so he wants to get up onto this object on his own. So it just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of time and persistence, but as long as you stay persistent and consistent, he will eventually do what is asked. And remembering that he is just still a puppy, and even the most well-behaved, fully trained service dogs have their off days. Dogs, unfortunately, aren't robots. They have bad days just like us. But making sure that when he's having those bad days or those hard moments, that we don't push them too far. We want to push him enough that we can end things on a positive note, but we don't want to push him to the point where he doesn't want to do it again. So you'll notice the clip just kind of cut out and started a new clip. I apologize for that. My camera seemed to randomly stop recording. So we're just restarting it. So here we had a gentleman walk past with a cart right as I put him onto place. Here I'm going out of sight. I can kind of peek through the shelving and see him, but he can't see me. And he does really well with that. And here we have a gentleman who's walking by with another noisy cart, and I'm just giving positive marker words to Levi, telling him to place. keeping his attention and rewarding, because it's a positive thing when a dog can move through a distraction like that. So here I'm going to start kind of moving the cart. Main reason why I wanted to do this is, one, it just builds a better place, but two, because I do know, one, that you work in a hospital as a nurse, and I also know that people with medical issues who have service dogs may eventually, at some point in their service dog's life, have to be transported via ambulance with a gurney. And when you're being put onto the ambulance and you're being brought into the hospital, it's best to have the service dog up on the gurney with you so they're not getting in the way of the gurney moving. So I'm making sure to move him around on this, tilt it so it kind of makes noise. Unfortunately, we don't have access to a gurney to fully practice that, but this is a really good start and something that you can continue to work on him with if you feel that that is a necessity for you down the line. And you can practice it before you have that moment where you really need him to get up onto it and stay there. So at first Levi was a little unsure, but he was really persevering and just needed a couple verbal corrections. And again, just making sure anytime you're introducing something new to the situation that you're rewarding for the smallest things of them continuing to do the behavior that you've asked. So you'll also notice that we switch up from doing place to stay. So for instance, if I put him into a sit-stay, he is to stay in a sit-stay. If he were to lay down, I would correct him, put him back up into a sit, and vice versa with the down. So that's what we're doing here, because I had put him into a down stay. Like I said, those are more structured, and when it comes to something like being on a gurney, you want to use a more structured one because you don't want him just sitting up while you're on the gurney. You want him to be laying down, either on you or next to you, depending on what your need is. So that's why we really wanted to work on that specifically. And then I touch release him, just like with the place command. Makes the dog anticipate that in order to be released, they have to wait until you come back and physically release him. So in a moment, this woman actually coming into frame, when I started to walk away from Levi after putting him into a sit-stay, had said that she wanted to observe, asked if she could be a distraction, and I said absolutely. So I told her she could go ahead, go by with the cart, even talk to him, because you're going to have people in stores that talk to your dog, even though they're vested, they're not supposed to, and we want to make sure he stays focused. But I did ask her just not to touch Levi. He's not at the point of being able to work through that distraction. He loves affection. So here he is doing that. And she walks by a couple times, stops to chit-chat and ask a couple questions, which again is another real-life situation where Levi has to work through not having my focus on him 24/7 while I'm asking him to do a command specifically. And he did amazing. So because he did so well with this scenario specifically, with this woman walking by and talking, both to me and to him, I wanted to make sure that we ended it on that amazing note. So he looks forward to working on it the next time in a positive light. So you'll see at the end of this, I am going to give him so much praise. You may feel that you sound silly doing it, especially, out in public, but it's really beneficial for the dog for you to be ecstatic and act like it's a party when they've done something so amazing and they've worked through a distraction or some sort of hurdle. So when I release him, I'm giving him lots of pets. I'm giving him a jackpot of treats, which is where we're just giving a bunch of treats instead of just, one. And as you can see, Levi was very excited and proud of himself. But that is it for this video. So next week's video is going to be his go home video, because it looks like you guys are going to be picking him up on the 9th. So congratulations. That video will go over all of his commands, and we'll go over them all when he comes home.
How old?
He's only, I want to say, coming up on 18 weeks old.
Wow.
So he's got a long way to go before